The realtor's voice sliced through the air. "Mrs. Grant," she said politely, "you'll have to discuss that with the owner, he's right here." My mother turned, her smile still wide from bragging about her good credit and social connections. Then she saw me. "Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I need your help to run this journey, thank you." Her mouth froze. The color drained from her face like paint sliding off wet glass. In my hand were the keys, the very keys she came to beg for. The house she was desperate to rent was mine. I didn't say a word, I didn't have to. Her silence was already enough music for a lifetime. When I was 16, she told me dreams were for people who had backup plans. I didn't. That was her favorite insult. Trent, my half-brother, could crash a car, fail classes, or quit 3 jobs in one summer, and she'd still call him her brilliant boy. Me, I was the liability, the one who thinks too much, earns too little, and dreams too high. At family dinners, she'd joke, "Maybe one day Daniel will afford his own chair." They'd all laugh, I laughed too, until it stopped being funny. Dad's death should have brought us closer. Instead, it gave her an excuse. I came home from college one weekend to find for sale signs on our lawn. "Our house," she said coldly, "isn't practical anymore. Trent and I are moving somewhere better." She sold it before I even had the chance to grab my boxes. No goodbye, no share. I stood on the curb watching strangers carry out my father's tools, the only things he ever left me. That was the first time I understood, family isn't always home. At her next dinner party, I heard her say it. "Daniel couldn't buy a doormat, let alone a house," she told her friends, laughter in her tone like perfume, light, poisonous, unforgettable. That line burned itself into my brain. I didn't get angry, I just repeated it to myself every morning like fuel. Maybe she meant it as a joke, but it became my mission. I worked nights at a hardware store and mornings at a construction site. The foreman once asked why I never complained about hauling bricks. I told him, because one day I'll be the one giving the blueprints. He laughed. I didn't. I lived in my car for 8 months, showered at the gym, and saved every dollar. When others bought sneakers, I bought books on real estate and renovation. Every blister was an investment. It wasn't much, a broken-down duplex with mold on the walls and raccoons in the attic. But it was mine. The agent looked at me funny when I paid in full with cashier's checks. "Are you sure you can handle repairs?" "I've been handling repairs my whole life," I said. That night, standing in the doorway, paint chips falling around me, I whispered, "Doormat, huh, let's see who wipes their feet next." While I rebuilt walls, Trent rebuilt lies. Mom bragged on Facebook that he ran a financial firm. In truth, he was running through other people's money. He drove a leased Mercedes, took Mom on vacations she couldn't afford, and smiled like a man who'd never been told no. At Christmas, Mom called. "Trent just bought his second condo in Miami. You're still doing construction, right?" Her pause told me what she thought of that word. I stopped answering her calls after that. But my silence wasn't emptiness, it was building. 1 property became 3, 3 became 7. I learned how to flip, lease, and hold. I hid ownership behind a small LLC, Iron Willow Investments. I liked the sound, unbending, quiet, alive. The more I grew, the less I needed her approval. That was the first real taste of freedom. News travels fast when it's bad. Trent's firm collapsed, fraud investigation, investors gone. Mom mortgaged her house to help him stay afloat. The house went under, she lost everything. For months she ghosted everyone. Until one day, I saw her name in a rental inquiry email. She was looking for a house in one of my neighborhoods. The request came through my property manager. "Mrs. Grant, professional background, looking for a 6-month lease." I almost deleted it. Then I saw the address she wanted. My favorite property, a restored 1930s colonial white porch, rose vines, a view of the lake. It felt poetic. I didn't reveal myself right away. I wanted the truth, not the performance. So I signed the lease under my LLC and asked my manager to arrange a meeting. I'd step in as the owner later for final approval. Part of me wanted to see if she'd changed. The other part just wanted her to face what she'd built. She arrived 20 minutes late, perfume strong enough to hide desperation. Her hair was styled, but her hands trembled when she reached for the coffee. "Lovely place," she said. "Reminds me of my old home before my son made choices." She didn't say my name, but I felt it between every word. The realtor smiled. "The owner values tenants who take care of his houses personally." Mom straightened. "Oh, I always take care of things myself." The irony nearly made me laugh. That's when the realtor's phone buzzed. She looked at me. "Mr. Grant, would you like to speak to her directly now?" "Mrs. Grant." Her head snapped toward me. The room went so quiet you could hear her heartbeat echo against the walls. For a second, she didn't recognize me. Then she did. "Daniel," she whispered. I smiled politely. "Hi, Mom, welcome to my house." Her purse slipped from her shoulder. Papers spilled across the floor, her rental application, her proof of income, her references. All her defenses scattered like confetti. "I didn't know," she started. "You didn't tell me you were doing so well." "You never asked," I said. "I was hard on you because I wanted the best." "No," I interrupted softly, "you wanted the best for Trent." She looked like she wanted to protest, but even she couldn't rewrite that history. The realtor excused herself awkwardly. Now it was just us. "You bought this?" she asked quietly. "Among others." Her eyes darted around the room, the marble countertop, the oak floors, the framed photos of faceless art that gave no clues about my life. "How many?" "Enough to afford this conversation." She didn't laugh, neither did I. "Daniel, I just need a place for a few months," she said. "I'll pay rent, please." Funny. She used to say I'd never understand responsibility. Now she was begging me for stability. I could have said no. But that would have been too easy and too small. So I handed her the lease. "Read the last line," I said. She did. "Management reserves the right to terminate the lease if false information is provided." Her hand trembled. She knew I knew. I let her sign it. Not because I needed her money, but because I wanted her to live with the truth. Every time she opened a cabinet, turned on a light, or looked out that window, she'd remember whose house she stood in. I didn't evict her. I let her live there for 3 months, rent-free, without knowing why. It was the calmest revenge I'd ever planned. Then it happened. A neighbor called my office. "Your tenant threw a party, says she's friends with the owner." I drove down that night. She was hosting people from her old social circle, pretending the house was hers. When someone asked, "So how'd you get this place?" she laughed and said, "Oh, just a favor from a friend in real estate. My son could never afford something like this." I recorded it, not for exposure, for closure. The next morning I visited. "Fun night?" I asked. Her face went pale. "You were there." "I own there," I said quietly. "Every word you said in my house." She looked like she might faint. "Daniel, I didn't mean it." "I know," I said. "You never do." Then I handed her the termination notice. "You have 2 weeks." She begged. Offered rent, apologies, even tears. But something inside me had already broken years ago and healed stronger. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. "I'm not," I said. "You did." That was the first time she didn't have a comeback. I stood by as movers carried her boxes out. She kept looking at the porch, maybe realizing it was never really hers, not even when she pretended it was. As she walked to her car, she turned. "You've changed." "No," I said. "I just stopped trying to prove myself to people who never saw me." A week later, my agent called. "The house got an offer," she said. "A young couple, newlyweds, teachers, they love it." I didn't hesitate. "Give it to them, half the market rate." The house that once symbolized pain was becoming someone else's beginning. That was the real win. Mom called once after that. Voicemail. "Daniel, I'm proud of you. I wish your father could see." I didn't delete it, I just never replied. Some ghosts are better left as echoes. I visited the house one last time before handing over the keys. The sun hit the porch the same way it had the day I first saw it, bright, forgiving. I didn't feel anger anymore, just peace. As I locked the door, I realized something. Owning a house wasn't the victory. Owning my silence was. I dropped the keys in the realtor's hand and walked away, not from a house, but from the version of myself who needed her approval. I finally understood. Sometimes revenge isn't about winning. It's about walking home on your own terms. Drop your opinion about my story on the comment section below.